Ex-racists of Reddit, what event or events changed you? Not me, but my 6th grade teacher had a brother who served in Vietnam. Apparently he had a guy in their unit who was pretty openly racist. One day he gets hit in combat, and while the rest of his unit is staying in their bunker, the only black guy runs into open fire and drags his butt to safety. If that doesn't fix you, IDK, what would? I actually had a bit of a moment, but I don't know if it counts. My father is an avid user of the N-word and in general has some quite racist opinions, which I inherited. In 4th grade, I switched schools from a school with mostly white kids to one with people from everywhere. That's where I found some new friends with a big mixture of ethnicities. One day I go to a friend's house and he has some friends there and we play video games. At one point, I look up and realized I'm the only white person in this room. Before I always thought of POC as different. There I realized that I was the different one. Ergo, if we all can be the different one, we are all the same. Actually, interacting with the people I supposedly hated. I come from a family of racists. They spoke of other than whites races using ethnic slurs as common as commenting on the weather. When I was about 5, my older brother and I went into the local bakery to pick up an order for our mom, who was waiting in the car. A black boy was in front of us in line. This was something I hadn't often seen, and I said very loudly to my brother, "Look, it's ANR." My brother quickly shushed me, which made me very confused. But it was the crushed look on the boy's face that made me start to question my family's viewpoint. Over 40 years later, I have a very diverse friend group, but still feel shame on how I made that boy feel those many years ago. I started a construction job. Hispanics are some of the nicest, funniest people you'll ever meet. The language barrier even adds to the hilarity. It was an eye-opener that these guys are just trying to make a living and go home, just like me. Landing this job has changed my view on all races, and I'm very happy it did. You can't just hate someone for their distance from the equator. Edit. Dope. Grew up in a town with no black people. Dad was very racist, so naturally I grew up racist, joined the military, and was forced to hang out with a melting pot of races. Straighten me out. I made a throwaway for this one. A lot of people are saying they weren't really racist. But I was. I absolutely was. I grew up in an affluent area of Orange County, California. My family had money, but not nearly enough as many of the kids at my school. I was an only child. Got picked on. Had pretty low self-esteem. My family were basically country club racists. Basically, they didn't actively drop the M-bombs all over the place, but they had prejudices and didn't push back at all when I started saying racist things as a kid. I absolutely said the N-word with my friends, laughed about it, but was always too scared to do so publicly. When I got to high school, I was big into right-wing politics, wanting to join the army, and learning German. I wouldn't say I was a neo-Nazi. My best friend's brother was a neo-Nazi, and I didn't hang out with any of his friends or want to go into that scene. But I often thought that I would have made a good Nazi had I been a German during the Third Reich. I definitely had friends in high school, but I wanted to go to college in a place that was more conservative and less diverse than I currently was. I figured my life would improve if I went to a place like that. So what changed? I did move to a small Midwest town and started taking German in college for real. I took history courses that kind of started to chip away at my view of the world. Studying abroad in Germany, though, my junior year is what really started to break the glass on my views. I thought that my German background and last name would win me some favors over there. But people didn't really give a garbage at all. I saw that modern Germany was categorically and vastly different than the one I crafted in my head. I made friends from all over Europe and the world. I had some people I cared about really roast me for some nationalist and militaristic views I had. It made me really mad at the time, but eventually, I took their criticism seriously. I came back and finished doing some work in history classes and wrote a paper on Nazi propaganda. It was then that I really examined Nazi viewpoints through recent experience and saw how fluffing dumb they were. I remember seeing a poster and the text said that the Jews were both behind communism and capitalism, and just thought, this is just complete fluffing nonsense, and the people who believe this are morons. I actually did go into the military. I did ROTC in college, and my time in ROTC and active duty pretty much flushed the rest out of me. Getting to know, working with, and leading people from different backgrounds and getting to see things through their eyes was an invaluable experience. So to summarize, meeting people from different backgrounds is probably the most important for me, and really actually having meaningful conversations, and not walking away when you're challenged. The thing is, I didn't just say, you're right, nationalism and being racist is wrong, I get it now. When I was in Germany, I fought back. I defended myself. I thought these people were just butthurt leftists and weren't going to take anything I said seriously anyway. But those conversations planted the seeds that grew over several months, and eventually, they made me recognize how wrong I was. Second was, I always knew it was wrong to hate people, but I still did. I didn't have an online support structure to keep me in the mind frame. Had these online communities existed 10 years ago, I don't know if I could have broken out of this. Edit. Let me just add, because people are seeing this. You often hear that hate is a poison. A huge part of being such a racist is being angry that so much of the world that doesn't conform to your narrow views of what a society should look like. You waste so much energy being so angry all the time. Every time you see a group of people in a place where you don't think they should be, or a couple of different ethnicities, or hearing different languages where you don't think you should be hearing them, you just react to this with anger. It's just so fluffing poisonous. Once I started to let go of this a little bit, I tried to think about these feelings and wondered why I felt themes, or why were all of these people making me so angry? And why did I think it would be so much better if I was somewhere else? The answer, of course, were problems in my own life. My own feelings of inadequacy. My feelings I squandered a privileged background and couldn't meet my parents' expectations. Once I started making those connections and take steps to improve the things in my own life I could control, I felt a lot better about myself and felt that I had a lot more to value in myself than being just a white guy from Newport. Hate really is poisonous. It poisons your self-image, your impression of others, your sense of empathy, your ability to humanize problems, your ability to connect with friends and family. But it doesn't have to be a death sentence. You can break out of the negatively reinforcing thought process. Start by reading stories of people who are totally different from you. Watch movies made by people like this. Just try and kickstart the apparatus in all of us to give the garbage about people. I've had the opportunity to travel to so many places since my first time in Germany, and the thing I've learned above all else is people by and large want the same things. To live somewhere cool, to hang out with their friends, provide for their families, etc. I'm sorry that it took me a while to learn this, but I do hope someone can see this and start to have a gut check moment with themselves to think differently about how you think of others. Edit 2. Go figure. I have a Reddit account for 5 years, and my first goal is on a throwaway where I confess to having been a bad human being. Thanks for the gesture, but please give it to someone more deserving. My father was a racist just like his father before him. Monsieur, my dad did his best to indoctrinate me and my brother with his racist ways of thinking. I believed my dad's philosophy was truth until I entered first grade. That year I was sat next to the only black girl in my class. Naturally, I hated her immediately. Not only was she an R, but an uppity one at that. She was more outspoken than most kids I knew, which I considered to be rude, and her style of diction was different from what I was used to. which made it difficult for me to understand her at first. However, as I was forced to interact with her throughout the year, I learned that she was everything my preconceived notions said she shouldn't have been. She was sweet, kind, funny, and intelligent. She helped me grasp the concept of arithmetic and was easily the best speller in our class. The idea that a black person could have all of those positive attributes, especially intelligence that surpassed that of a white person, flew in the face of what I had been taught all my life up to that point. Knowing that girl was the single experience that made me first question, doubt, and eventually reject my dad's beliefs about race. That girl and I remained friends until she transferred schools after our 3rd grade year. I didn't keep in touch with her and have no idea where she is now. If you're out there, Adia, thank you for just being yourself. You are the very reason why I went down a better path than the one I was shown. I sincerely hope that you are well.